Hello, Divine Ones. This is Fairy Dust 1111, and thank you so much for tuning in. This is a channeled message from the Divine Masculine's higher self to the Divine Feminine. So, once again, as a reminder that the masculine and the feminine are not referring to the sex or the sexual orientation of an individual, it's more so referring to the energies. So, this could be a message to the masculine aspect of yourself, or this could be from your divine masculine, regardless if it's a male or a female. Okay, so let me settle in and receive the message from the spirit. And so the spirit is ushering in new information. Okay, and so with that comes new beginnings, and with a new beginning comes a new way of how to operate, a new way of how to think and process information. So the spirit has been mentioning this through many channel messages, as well as readings in regards to, to the processing of this information, this new information, the new way of how to live. So for example, if one has been thinking or living a certain way and they're offered a new opportunity, will they be able to uphold that opportunity? Will they be able to fulfill the shoes, if you will, and be able to walk in those shoes, to fulfill that path, to fulfill that mission? So, for example, many times individuals may win or gain or inherit a large lump sum of money. However, they have an old mentality. They have the impoverished mentality. They have the suppressed 3D mental. And so therefore, when they handed a new opportunity, what do? They waste it. They squander it. Some way, somehow, they find themselves back in the same situation, if not even worse. So this is just an example of the relationship, of the bond between the twins, between the divine partners. So for many of us, we may be wishing and hoping for this divine union to come to pass yesterday. However, the spirit is saying you weren't ready yesterday, and you still may not even be ready today or a week from now. So it's not to be gun-ho and so stuck on the time frame. Oh, it's been 5 years. Oh, it's been several months. No contact. So pause right there. The spirit is saying that you have always been in contact. This is the same way of how individuals will say that you need to connect to your higher self. No such thing. You've always been connected to your higher self. You have an energetic cord that goes from your higher self to your lower self, okay? Now, you may have energetic blockages due to being placed in limitation, due to being placed in sin, due to being in the suppressed 3D mental. And this is the same thing for twins. You have a energetic cord that goes from one twin to the next twin, okay? And so therefore you cannot break contact. You cannot break energy. Remember, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And so the energetic cord. So therefore the energy, the information, the contact cannot be destroyed, okay? It can only be alchemicalized, meaning that it can only change. So the spirit is saying with the communication, so being that one cannot communicate properly, and this is speaking to the communication within themselves, and so the communication, not just the communication from the 3D suppressed mental, which will keep one in the same cycle, which will therefore play out into their relationships. And so this includes the divine partnership. So if you have two individuals that are not communicating properly within themselves, they're going to have harsh or improper communication within the divine union, with themselves, in between themselves, okay? And so therefore you will have this cycle of them going through harsh behavior, harsh communication, quote unquote no communication, although we already established there's no such thing. And so with the changing of the 3D suppressed mental comes the changing of the communication. And the first form of communication that will change is the communication within oneself. And so therefore you will remove those energetic blockages that are limiting the mindset and limiting the communication from the higher self to the lower self, the ego man to the spirit man. That is key. Because if you are communicating improperly within yourself, to yourself, you're going to do the same thing outwardly. Okay? So once that happens, then the communication between yourself and your divine partner will change. And so you're thinking, well, we haven't talked in months, we haven't talked in days and weeks, blah, 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 whatever. But however, with energy, it cannot be destroyed. So therefore, you have always been communicating on an energetic level. And so you may point the finger and say, oh, my divine partner, they left. My divine partner is not communicating with me. My divine partner is communicating improperly to me. So the spirit is asking you a question. How are you communicating with yourself? Think about it before you answer. Okay? Do some research before you answer. And so this is not just talking about on a psychological standpoint, going with man-made psychology. And so with man-made psychology, this is just the observation and data collection of the human mindset. Okay. And so therefore, with that being said, it's just a group of individuals that have been observing another group of individuals for a certain amount of time. And so therefore they slap a label on individuals saying that it's this, saying that it's that. And however the spirit is saying that this is not true, there may be some level of truth to it, but it's not the entire truth. And with that being said, that with the research comes from the alignment with your higher self, because your higher self knows. Okay. Because the higher self, not only that is higher, so therefore it can see more, but it's in direct communication with the divine source. So therefore the divine source is giving the information to your higher self, that is filtering that information down to your lower self, predicated upon where you are in your 3D suppressed mental. Okay. So you're not going to be given all the information at once. Baby steps. Okay. And so this is the same thing with your divine partnership. As you're being fed baby amounts or baby food or taking baby steps, your divine partner is doing the same thing. And so therefore, as you guys align individually, you guys are aligning simultaneously. And so therefore, you're going to meet at a pinnacle, at a point. So you think about a triangle. The base is wide. However, as you continue to draw the triangle, that the triangle comes together at a point, at the pinnacle, okay, at the top of the pyramid. And this is the alignment with the higher self, the alignment with the divine source, divine union. So I do have several videos about divine union, about the divine triangle. And so this is the unification within oneself with the divine source, with their twin, the unification with their twin, forming the divine star, the divine triangle within oneself. Okay, so your divine partner is away. However, you guys are still in communication. Your divine partner may not be physically in your presence. However, the presence is still there. And it's really important that the separation process happens, because with the separation process, you're shedding codependency. You're also operating out of what they call faith. I call the knowing. And so this is very important, because as a spiritual connection, I also hear not is that you're not basing things off of the physical. Okay. And I swear I'm having an epiphany right now. Not just an epiphany. I'm sorry. What do they call it? Deja vu. Deja vu is coming through. Okay. I had this dream a long time ago where I woke up like, what the? And where I'm sitting at now in my house, I remember I was thinking as I was having the dream, and I have to pause it right here, because once again, I'm a spirit-led reader, teacher, whatever you want to call, whatever you want to label, whatever this is going on right now. Okay. And so the spirit is having me to say this right now. And I had this dream a while ago, a long time ago, and I woke up. I remember thinking in the dream, like, who am I to say these things? Who am I to do this type of stuff? And as I woke up, as I came to, I was like, what is going on? And I forgot all about it, but it just hit me just now. And for some of you guys, well, actually, if you really, once you continue continuously align with your higher self, you will realize how many signs and synchronicities have been there all along, but you were too blinded to see it. Okay. And so I think that's the reason why the Spirit had me to bring that up, why it just hit me all of a sudden. But anyways, let's continue. Okay. So let me backtrack and figure out where I was. Oh, the separation as well. Here we go with the spiritual connection, and people were looking at the physical. At one point you were looking at the physical like, oh, we weren't in communication. Oh, we weren't codependent. We weren't in a codependent relationship. We weren't booed up, if you will. Or we had a moment in which we were booed up, but however, we went through our physical separation. And so therefore we were relying on the Spirit to lead and guide us. And so therefore this is how I know this connection is true, because I wasn't around this person physically. However, we were so connected. We were so connected that we could feel each other even when we hadn't talked to each other in months. We could feel each other even when they were miles away. And that's where the key is. That's why these relationships are so important and so potent, I even hear. Okay? It's almost like I see grapes that have been fermenting for so long that when someone just puts their finger on it and tastes it, they're like, damn, I'm feeling lit already. Okay? Like, you think about it. Like, a lot of codependent relationships are based off of what feels good. Oh my gosh, like, we have been together for like 15 years. We were high school sweethearts, or either we met each other and like we haven't been separated. We have been codependent since day one. And it's like, of course, it's going to be easy to have that type of relationship because there's no challenges. There's no muscles to really work. You're just going along with the flow. There's nothing to challenge you. So this is also reminding me of someone that goes to the gym and just gets on the treadmill, like, and make sure they, they don't break up any type of sweat. They're not working any type of muscles or anything like that. And that's what faith does. Faith worketh patience. And what is patience? Muscles. But you got this one individual that will go in the gym and like work out like a beast, and when they come out, they may not even look like what people would think is a beast. However, they're beast mode, meaning that when they may have to run for whatever reason for 10 miles straight, they're able to do it. If they have to hold their breath for like 15 minutes underwater, they're able to do the unthinkable. That's what I'm trying to say. We are like superheroes. We are like the modern day priesthood, the sainthood. We are able to do what others aren't able to do. That's why we were able to tap into certain realms. The unification of the left brain and the right brain, the firing off the signals between the synapses. I hear the word in my head, but I can't really say it that well. That's fine though. Those that get it will get it. All right. And so that veil, the separation, the static energy is thinning. And so this is speaking to the brain. And so the way how one communicates within themselves, the left brain, the right brain. And so becoming ambidextrous, if you will, that will be a better way of how to explain it for those that understand that the left-handed people work and operate off the right side of the brain and vice versa. Okay. And so this is talking about how they would say men are from Mars and women are from Venus, and how we communicate completely separately and differently, blah, blah, blah. However, that communication is going to merge into one form of communication. So meaning, what I mean by one form of communication is, yes, we will still have our different ways of how to communicate. We may even still speak different languages. And this is talking about light language, love language, heart language, angelic languages, actual human languages. I hear the Tower of Babel. Okay. But the Tower of Babel will not fall. All right. And being able to speak all these different languages, the linguistics of numbers, if you will, being able to see things that others can't see, but however, still being able to communicate with each other. So we can still have our separate ways of how we communicate, verbally, touching, feeling, whatever other ways that you may communicate. However, it's like this one type of communication between the twins. It's like, it's beyond telepathic. it's unipathic, if you will. That's one thing I hear. It's philopathic. And so it's like with telepathic communication, there's different types. Okay, it may be through images, and may be through like you actually may hear word for word what the person is saying. However, with this other type of communication, it's like as if you are the individual. So therefore, you know how words can get in the way. You like someone may have one meaning of the word bad, and then another person may have another meaning for the word bad, like cool, like you're bad, you're cool. And so, you know, with the different ways of how people may use words, therefore that's where the communication sometimes can drop. However, with the twins, it's like the twins are the divine partners. They come into this type of unification of communication. It's like they communicate as if they are one, you know, like they literally feel almost like how angels would communicate. So it's like the words don't get in the way. It's automatically when you come in the person's presence, you feel them. And it's like they don't have to even say anything at all. It's not even any words that are even exchanged at all. You know, it's still the image is still coming clear to me with the feeling. And this feeling I've been feeling with this harmonic love and communication since I was a little girl, but then I lost sight of it. And so this is for many of us, even if you didn't have a vision, blah, 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 whatever. It's this love that we have been looking for and acceptance that we have been looking for. So first you have to find that within yourself. So therefore you can recognize it, you know, because it's a language, you know. It's like, oh, I recognize that dialect. We speak the same dialect. And so with that being said, it's like you have to find it within yourself. And then you're able to better understand it. I mean, be able to first recognize it and to better understand it. So it's almost like a science to it. However, you know, it comes simultaneously almost. It comes like as an extra bonus or part of the alignment process. So it's not like something you really have to try to force it, because that's also going against. It's almost like I see someone that's speaking, but then the words are going back into their mouth. Almost like they spewed the words out of their mouth, but then they're going to swallow them. And so that's what happens with force. You know, it's like you're counteracting, you're working against yourself. You're working against everything that the spirit has for you when you try to control things. And I have been learning. And as I learn, I will share as the spirit tells me to share, you know, everything in due divine timing. Okay. And so with the divine masculine, I had to say all of that to get to this other message. Okay. Because in order for to understand the message, in order for to really get it, and I don't mean like understand the concept of it, I mean really get it, like you feel it, you like, oh, okay, I got you type of feeling, that behind the veil. That's what I'm talking about, that veil that's thinning. Okay. To really understand where the divine masculine is coming from. I'm just trying to protect my heart, you know, like it's a new experience. Okay. And so many of us have come from, I mean, all of us, like the world is like ran by codependency, really, honestly. And so with that being said, you know, it's like the person is facing themselves. It's almost like, you know what I used to wonder, like, how would people before mirrors or cameras were made, how would they look at themselves? You know, and I would say, when I was younger, when I was learning, especially learning about art and stuff, I was like, you know, somebody would do a self-portrait. And I was like, what would they do? Would they look in the river? Would they look in some water? You know, if they didn't have a mirror or something. And so this is what I say that to say this. It's like when you meet your divine partner. And so for some of us, it may have been like this initial like recognition, like, oh, it's something there. And that was how the way it was for me, for my divine partner. It was like this attraction. You know, he had like this attraction. And so it was like with the runner chaser type of thing or whatever, you know. But however, with the runner, it's still like this sense of recognition, but however, it's not in the frontal lobe of the brain. Okay. I'm not gonna go too much into the processing of the recognition, but it's different. It's different for the different energies. Okay, and so with that being said, it's like instinctively on an energetic plane, it's like they had the recognition, but in the frontal part of their brain, they didn't have the recognition, and so they'll come up with logical reasons to negate that intuitive type of feeling that they will get, or that uneasiness, because it's the recognition, it's the soul's recognition, it's the mirror recognition. It's almost like, okay, like the mirror was foggy at first, like when you step out the shower and it's like, I see something. I do see something there, but it's a little too foggy. But as they continuously align with their higher self, it's like the fog is dissipating, and it's like, okay, I sort of kind of see, I see it, I feel it. Wow, I can really feel it, and that's what's going on. They're just trying to protect their minds, their hearts, their energy, and so it's like the battle of the minds. So you have your psychological mind, like the physical, the way how you process information, and then you have your spiritual aspect of your mind, okay? And so the spiritual aspect of the mind can also be referred to the veil in between, the static electricity. And then this is also talking about the higher self. And so the higher self is the subconscious mind. And I actually have on the Patreon page explaining the misconception of the subconscious mind to really get an understanding of that. Because when you understand how the way energy works, that's another video over there. If you understand how the subconscious, the higher self, and the communication works, then you'll be able to understand it, so you can stand back and be chill. You can realize of how the spirit is putting everything together. You'll be able to see things that most people can't see. And I'm trying to show people, however, it's up to an individual if they want to wipe that fog off the mirror and see things. All right. And so with the divine masculine, he's saying, I'm just trying to protect myself, because this is something I don't understand. And I'm gonna pause on that note real quick and say, with the understanding, see what will happen with the logical frontal part of the brain, like the logical mind, the way how things are processed, is like it will literally start to change. And so therefore it will be able to pick up, okay, for something that was not logical at first, it will become logical. So for example, when a child starts to learn their numbers, okay, with the crack, what are these little shapes? Okay, now I figured them out, they're numbers. Okay, so now you want me to put them together? What? So now you want me to do 2 plus 2, and that equals what? 4? And then eventually it starts to make sense, and then it's automatic. And so that's what I'm saying. The spirit is training the masculine mind, and this is also training the feminine mind too. It's training both aspects of the mind. Okay, and so unpause with that. It's like right now the logical mind is at a not at a standstill, but at a war. Okay, and so with that war, it's like the battle of the two minds, the battle of the spiritual aspect and the battle of the logical mind. But believe me, the spiritual mind will win, it will win. All right. And so it's no need to be worried. Worrying is a waste of energy. Okay. And I'm posting more and more stuff over on the Patreon page, you guys, about how to shed these type of energies, how to alchemicalize these type of energies, and how to step into self-mastery. Because when you master yourself, you can master anything. And so that will also be your divine partner will master themselves, and two mastered individuals that come together are bound to be masterful. Yeah, that's a whole lot of mastery in one sentence, And so with that being said, it's like I want to give my heart, but how can I give my heart? It doesn't make sense. Well, why do I feel this way? It's very confusing if you really think about it. If you think about it in the suppressed mental, it's really confusing. That's why most people will not get it. And as a side note, divine feminine and divine masculine, whoever's watching this, whoever's listening to this, you need to be careful who you share your information with. Okay? Especially regarding your spiritual aspects. It was this one video that I heard a while ago, like a couple years ago, maybe about 2-3 years ago, in which this individual, they were saying you should not share your spiritual experiences with other individuals. not just, he gave three reasons. One was because they're private, and he gave another reason, but the main reason that really stuck out to me was because individuals can become jealous. And so even if someone is awakened, quote unquote, whatever that may mean, you know, you have people throw that word around so much, but aligned, I like to use the word aligned, you know, they still have energetic blockages. And it's not for you to share every single thing. You know, that's why you have your higher self. That's why you have the spirit that, you know, you could, that's why you can journal, you know, and the spirit will let you know as you continuously align what to share with who. And because most people won't get it, or either they may not get it on the level in which you get it. Okay, so for example, you know, some people could maybe in their suppressed mental, not even with jealousy, they may not understand. That's another point that he did bring up about them not being able to understand. I may see the number, 1024, and be like, oh yes, that's my divine partnership confirmation number, hey. And then somebody else be like, okay, those are just numbers, with the crap. Or actually 1024 means this, or actually 1111 means this, it doesn't mean that. However, you may know what the spirit has given you the understanding for. So, you know, you don't have to share every single thing, even if it's quote unquote an illuminated person or whatever title individual wants to carry. All right, so unpause on that. Okay, and so with this protection of the heart, this is talking about, well, really honestly, with some divine partners, they do sort of kind of have to protect their heart, because your second heart, okay, and I'm about to post a video about the three hearts. With your second heart, your energetic field, your energetic core, you do have to protect that, because many of the divine partners are not ready for the divine partnership. So therefore, it's like with your I hear forceful brute energy, with trying to control and be in the codependent energy, you will literally crush that individual. You will crush your divine partner because you're not in the right energy. You're not in the right spirit. Okay, so they are right to protect their heart for many of the divine partners, you know, depending on what wave you are on, and you know where your self-mastery lies. Okay, and so they would be right to protect their heart, because everyone should protect their energetic field. Okay, because that's the way how your creative portal, that's also the way how individuals can gain access to you, and even puppeteering and all that stuff. So that is explained over on the Patreon page. Okay, and so with that being said, for other individuals, they just haven't fully gotten the understanding, if you will. But however, I feel like it's really a balancing of the scales. So they have peeled back some of the layers of their heart for many of the divine partners, and so that it's almost like a lotus flower, I see. And I actually posted a video a while ago about sexual energy and about like the third eye opening, and I actually shared a personal experience with that. But you can find that, that's like an old video. You can find that way back in the archives. And so anyways, so I see like the lotus flower opening up, and this is like representing their heart. Okay, opening up like a lotus flower, like, oh, you know, like that. And I see the sunbeams just shining down on it, like, and the birds are just chirping. I'm being a little dramatic right now, but anyways, it's just to explain like the feeling of it. Okay, and this is, I feel like both hearts are opening up like that. Okay, so you can, for certain ones, you can sort of, you know where your divine partner is to an extent, because of how much self-mastery you have done. Okay, the more codependent you are, 9 times out of 10, the more that your partner is codependent, so therefore you guys are bumping, like you frictioning, if you will. You are like the magnets that are opposing each other. Okay, and so the more that you have shed codependency and step into self-mastery, it's like the more that you're like, okay, I feel like my divine partner is there, regardless of how the physical may look. Because remember, this is a faith walk. All right, this is spiritual union. So it baffles me when people, individuals, would try to take the spirituality out of the spiritual union. It's going to take some spiritual work. All right. And on a side note, everything is actually spiritual, really. So regardless of how things may look, or what they may be doing in the physical. This is just them trying to hold on to their heart. You know, they're trying to hold on to who they are. And it's like a battle. Think about even your own battle, you know, within yourself. Like different activations within your life, the different tower moments, the different epiphanies, how you try to put up fights with things that you wanted to hold on to. And so this could be the self-identity. Like, you know, this is who I am. This is who I always have been. However, the spirit is trying to give them a new identity, try to give you a new identity. Think about that. And so therefore, when you really step to a higher perspective, you're able to fully understand. And so therefore, your tears of sorrow turns into tears of joy because you're so grateful. I can tell you, I can tell you, I can tell you, I can tell you. But I'm not going to go into it so much. I'm not going to make this video like super long. But anyways, it's just that this is talking about the mental, okay? And the way how the heart will literally change and open up. And it's beautiful. Like I feel it. It is beautiful. And so this is what's coming. So therefore, the twins do not have to feel like they have to protect themselves against anybody. Okay, so when you master your energy, okay, you will magnetize that type of energy towards you. And that will be your divine partner. And therefore, it will also be certain types of relationships that will come to you. Now, it's a scripture in the biblical text in which the manifested Christ said, I will draw all men unto me. And in the light of the world, I don't remember word for word, but anyway, pretty much what he was saying is that his continence, his energy, his energetic core, all right, his aura shines so brightly that it draws men unto him. And so when he say men, he's talking about individuals, other energies, okay? And so this also is, sometimes it will be people that are the opposite of your energy. They may be vampires trying to feed off your energy. It may also be individuals. And so pretty much it's all vampire type of energy, regardless if they're jealous or if they want something from you. It's all the same type of energy. But however, you'll be able to repel them. Almost like when you know how you give a dog a flea, I'm not calling anybody a dog, first off. You give a dog a flea bath, and then when a flea comes to bite them, they like just fall off like, like, you know, with the, I guess it's poison. I'm pretty sure some organic ones out there. But anyways, it's just not good for them. And so therefore they just fall off to the side like, And so that's what will happen. You know, as you continuously align with your higher self-mastery, that you will draw other self-mastered individuals to you. Okay. And yes, there may some other fleas, some other lower energies may come, but however, they will be repelled because they can't stand the light. Think about when you step outside of a dark room and you step into the light, you're like, my eyes. Eyes can't see. What in the world? And that's how they will be, because they can't stand to be around you because you exude so much light. All right. But however, with the twins and the divine partners, the soulmates, they will permeate on that same frequency, if you will, and with that frequency, the same light. And I have two podcasts about light and darkness. Okay, and it's the channel information, and it's not traditional, you know. But anyways, you can find those podcasts over on the Patreon page. Okay, so let me continue on. All right, and so therefore you guys will be able to stand each other's light, but not just stand it, you will bask in each other's light. But that is a process, okay? All right, and it's coming though, okay? But you guys are already permeating. I can see I can see two of them permeate, like it's almost like they're vibrating, and it's almost like you know how you hit like you throw a pebble in a creek and it just like vibrates out, like they vibrate, like two of them vibrate as one, if you will. Okay. And man, it's so much to share, but anyways, this is where I'm going to cut it off. All right, so you guys, thank you so much. God bless. Go check out the Patreon family, and I'll talk to you guys later. All right, peace. If you guys could take a quick moment to press the like button as well as leave a comment, because the more engagement that a video has, the more the YouTube will push this information. And it's not for me, it's for the collective, the connected. I do what the Spirit tells me to do, and I just want to get the word out to more of the divine ones so we can build a community, a strong community of all of us soul partners. You know, the more energy that is focused in a place, it's the more that we can change the circumstance. And so changing our mindset, changing everything in our 3D experience. Okay, so if you guys could do that, and feel free to share this information. Yeah, you may hear the baby. Okay, feel free to share this information if you don't mind that people know that you are into this type of information. Just press the share button. You can also hit me on Instagram. You can share it on Facebook. You can share it anywhere. I don't really care, you know. Learning, you can join the Patreon family for as little as $1.11 per month for access to exclusive podcasts, videos, and other content. And depending on which tier that you sign up under, that you will receive a free personal monthly reading. You can find that link in the description below. Swing by my Etsy shop where you can find a list of the services that I offer, starting at $5.55. I'm sure that you can find something that can accommodate your needs. With over 200 plus readings, I'm sure that you will be satisfied. The link is in the description.